Hello, my dear searcher in the realms of David Kibbe and body typing, body image ideas. I made a part one of this. Maybe they'll become a series because I'm thinking of more clues that could have given away that I'm a theatrical romantic. Whereas now thinking about it, these things are nowhere to be read or seen except for what I'm saying now. So it doesn't make entirely sense, but let's say things that I find typical that are very different from my peers, that have always been the case, and that I can imagine is typical for theatrical romantics. For instance, I've met Suzanne, David Kibbe's wife, who's also, like me, a verified theatrical romantic. I've seen your comments on my previous video about this, saying, oh my god, this is just me. I mean, there's always confirmation bias, but let's not go that direction. Let's just assume that people really recognize themselves in this and that it helps to finally sort out your body idea and start dressing accordingly. So, one of the things is having quite a sensitive system, quite a sensitive pain body, if that is even a word. I think it is, because we are slightly fragile, I would say. You can say unfortunately. At the other hand, you pick up on things very soon. So when you're getting ill, when something's off, when you don't feel well, I think we feel it sooner than somebody who is having a bigger system. And I kind of came onto this because I was trying to fight a virus. I wanted to stay on top of it rather than being submerged under the as usually happens. So I don't know about you, but usually when I feel a virus coming, like something in my throat, it's just like, oh no, I have to cancel my plans, not for 2 days like somebody else would, but for a week, because I know it will just hit me like really seriously. And I asked AI, what are the newest insights? I thought maybe if I give all my symptoms, it can tell me exactly with the newest insights how to beat this rather than be ill. And it worked. It completely worked. Maybe if you're interested in it, I should make another video about this, because I'm very impressed that I did not get that ill. But it remembered that I am a theatrical romantic, and it mentioned this, that you with your sensitive theatrical romantic, and that made me think about this. Like, it's true. I feel a lot, and I think we do, because we are more fragile, we are more sensitive, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you can pick up on symptoms sooner rather than later when it's already too late. So you can actually use it to your advantage. Let's be positive, right? So that is one thing, being quite sensitive. And I don't mean weak or mousy or moany. I really mean, even you might want to be strong, there are limitations to what your body, what your energy can do. Of course, with everybody, but I feel that might be somewhat typical for our fragile body type. Tied in with that is, and hear me out or not, but basically like a bit of a cat-like nervous system. I can't remember why I thought about this, but I feel it's very easy to get unbalanced like a cat. We can be very like loungy and completely relaxed, of course, but it doesn't take much at all, or even hardly anything, to get us out of this balance and to get us very nervous. For instance, if the bell would ring and I'm not completely balanced, I might jump. And my grandmother, who I'm pretty sure was also a theatrical romantic, she used to do this like a cartoon, just like jump a meter high when the bell would ring. That kind of sensitivity is peculiar. It's not like we all have that, and I feel it is tied into people who have this kind of fragile narrowness. I talked about this in my previous video about this kind of being on the spectrum of a lot going on, fireworks, like a cat. So much going on, and so much is needed to keep the peace, to keep the balance. It's a full-time job. I'm exaggerating, but I'm making the point. What do you think? Does this ring a bell for you? Or are you like, what is she talking about? I'm pretty cool and I'm not that sensitive. Then, well, then maybe you are a different type. I don't know. Maybe this is helping. What else? Yeah, something else kind of tied in with that nervousness. Or let's say potential nervousness. You can manage it very well, of course, but it takes attention. Is not being able, or being very bad with scary movies, or say horror movies, or just tension. Let's say David Lynch. I will never be able to watch Twin Peaks, no matter how well acclaimed it is and how I would probably like it a lot, but I cannot deal with that amount of tension, that amount of insinuated horrible things going on. No way. No way. It gets under my skin. I remember watching Mulholland Drive in the cinema, and I was virtually beating up my boyfriend out of frustration because I cannot deal with that amount of tension. Something that you recognize or not. And like the diseases and being very, well, how do you say that? Being very quick in noticing symptoms. It can be an advantage as well. You pick up on a symptom, oh, I might get ill, I need to take some precautions. You watch the news and you feel what it does to you to see all these horrible, sensational, yes, they are happening, but why should you watch it? It's not making you feel better. You can't help anyway. That kind of awareness of what it does to your nervous system, it's pretty good to be aware of that, to be made aware of that by your system, because then you can act accordingly and actually surround yourself with things and energies that are beneficial to you. So this is my positive angle to this somewhat, a system that needs some managing, but it's also good, right? Being sensitive has definitely also advantages once you learn how to steer the wheel. Then something more physical is having the narrow feet, slender feet, and the difficulty of finding shoes that are comfortable and that fit properly. I always end up with shoes basically with laces, because then I can myself make sure that the shoe is fitting. Very often I love ankle boots and so on, and with laces it's not trendy, you hardly find it. I'm just swimming in them, and this might be something that you also recognize. It's always been like that. Slender feet. I think shoes become bigger and bigger, just like clothes seem to become bigger and bigger, so we're not living our high days with current fashion. But that might be another giveaway. I love, for example, this boot that Marilyn Monroe was wearing in the Misfits. That was auctioned for I don't know how much money, but you can see how even for a cowboy type of boot, a countryside boot, you can see how it was a lot more slender, and that could actually fit me. But if you look for that type of boot now, I find they're just like boats. And then to finish, another thing is I find with hair that it's beneficial to have some type of Baroque element, is how I am calling it. So for example, this. I don't know, I can't see myself. I don't know what it looks like, but I find, and again, that's not the most trendy, I guess. Everything is more sleek and maybe minimal nowadays, but if I do this and I give it a twist and do you see what I mean? It breaks up strict lines. It brings some... It's not entirely rounded. It's a little bit with an edge, but there is roundness to it, and I find that is most flattering. When I used to go to a hairdresser that would give me this classic blow dry, it looked horrible. I looked like I was wearing a wig that did really not belong to me. When I would have my hair really sleek to the back, that is not flattering at all. So something in the middle, something, yeah, a romantic element, but not over the top, an edge to that, a femme fatale edge to that. So that was some more points that might give you a clue of what you are. I know how frustrating it can be not knowing, so I'm trying to help you here. I've been loving reading your comments on my previous video about this, and yeah, please continue letting me know. It motivates me to think further and add to this conversation. See you in the next one.